Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. Today is the second day of April 2021. My name's Dave. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hope everyone's doing well today. How you doing? So we have 50 people hanging out. Hello, Brian says 3 minutes early, I suppose so. A little bit early. Hiya, Dave. Hello, Daryl, Chong, Purple, howdy, Free Schmidt, Lester, hello to you. Daniel with a heyo. Heyo back at you, Daniel. Hello. Well, I mentioned today being a holiday here in Canada. The team has the day off, but I thought I would pop in, say hello, pop in, say hi on Feedback Friday. Maybe we can, no sort of formal feedback topic per se, but I thought maybe we could pick hunters' brains a little bit, get initial impressions on the spring egg hunt so far, kind of a new format this year, as well as just kind of general. We'll hang out for a little bit, some Q&A, comments, suggestions, questions, all that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll just hang out for a little bit today. Hello, hello. Lots of people in the chat. Looks like we have about 70 hunters here now. Hello, everybody. Eileen, Daniel, Lady Nutsy, Zach, hello to you. Aaron with a heyo, heyo, Aaron. Benny. Pokey Fleek says smash like button for Dave in the house. Well, I'm flattered. Small says hi from Australia. It's 1 a.m. Well, thanks for staying up or getting up early. I don't, depending on the routine of your day. Hello to you back in Australia from Canada here. And Jonathan, hello from East Yorkshire. Still not caught you yet. Uh-oh. Hopefully not like a mouse. Oh, wow, we're on video too. That's neat, indeed. Zach says we missed the high charged eggs. That was kind of one of the larger changes, I suppose, in terms of overall format. Kind of retiring the charge cycle. It's been tough. The egg hunt is one of the most long-standing recurring events in the game. So we've been keeping a close eye as the years have gone by on how many hunters were using the charge cycle, kind of how much interest. So, it was a tough decision, but ultimately, hopefully you liked what we replaced it with. Ryan says, starting a little early. I think I did start just a touch early. Final Heart says, we really don't miss the charge cycle. I could see it be a little polarizing. Some hunters enjoyed it. Some hunters found it a little bit tedious to have to keep switching your charms every hour. Spagar, hello to you, saying I haven't been at Feedback Friday because of DST. That 1 hour time difference, depending on where you're on the world, can make a big difference indeed. Matthew says hello from Nashville. Well, hello, Matthew. Final Heart, thanks for the change to bonus hunts. Made the event a lot more fun for me, a lot more kind of passive friendly. Definitely our intention there was to try to find a way where you could be hunting down bonus eggs still, while still progressing along some sort of event narrative and encountering the event mice and get that kind of nice spring mouse vibe feel while being able to go down and track down bonus eggs without having to choose between doing one or the other. Daryl says, missed the high charged eggs, but do love the new layout, but do wish we had traded extra charms for the better ones. Yeah, a little bit, just over the years, they had different history there. You can do some exchange in the shop, as well as, which ones can you smash? You can smash some of them into dark chocolate charms as well, but I'd imagine not too many people would be interested in doing that. Spagar got shifted late, couldn't stay awake. Eileen, do you have any snow up there? No, we didn't get the April Fool's Day snowfall that some places had, but it's definitely a little chilly. I think it's, it's 1 degree. There goes, -2 a little earlier today. The other day I went out to, it was garbage day. I went to go and get the recycling bins from the curb, and I stepped outside, and I don't think I'd felt the sub-zero temperature hit the face in a while, so it felt like winter was making a return. But hopefully it's all the temperatures on the up and up here, and get spring, with the spring egg hunt going. Get that spring feeling in real life too. Kat says, I don't miss them. It was an annoying process. I didn't like feeling like I was missing out if I didn't do it. Yeah, that's an interesting sentiment too. I think a lot of hunters could probably relate to that as well, that FOMO, fear of missing out. Or when something you feel like, well, I should be doing this even though I don't want to be doing this. That can create kind of friction and unfun feelings. So, hopefully we were able to kind of smooth that out a little bit. But for sure, as always, part of our pattern here with recurring events is we will set up our milestone for the next event. So we already kind of have in our project management software a spot set aside for Spring Egg Hunt 2022. And so a lot of times as we read feedback, get suggestions from players, we'll start logging it there. And we can even set the start and the end date, a few months out ahead. So it's been an effective way the last several years to make sure that feedback kind of rises back up to the top 10, 11 months from now. So it says extra charms are a lot harder to get now. They were perhaps quite plentiful in years past, but you can get them from Lady Laura's shop, as well as they won't go away year to year as well. So, you get a little head start on next year once you fully upgrade the shop, or if you unlock all the shelves you're interested in unlocking, then you could sync out some of your Chocolatonium into extra charms. Chrome likes the egg sweeper. Reminds me a lot of loot boxes with the big eggs there, I guess. A lot of nostalgia. I don't know how many people played Minesweeper growing up, but had to dust off the Minesweeper knowledge to play Egg Sweeper. Steven says, I don't know how to play this game. MouseHunt or Egg Sweeper? Game within the game or main game? Cat, you really wish we could find environment eggs like the map egg and workshop egg in the app. That is kind of on the to-do list. Unfortunately, I haven't quite been able to get the interface eggs, if you want to call them that, into the mobile app quite yet. Ryan would also like to see more sources of extra charge charms. Prestige-based Bono Wars and the Hunt Beast. Yeah, we were looking at that. So the prestige-based, there's certain effects that aren't included in bonus hunts. And so we're still kind of looking into that. It's a little bit of a larger job than you'd expect to get that working. That said, the spring hunt mice are fairly low power, so you won't get too many fail-to-catches. Aaron, when are we getting Ultra Brie Plus in the game? I'll leave that to the other mouse hunt game there. That was the dust was blown off it. Ryan, it's actually more common this time compared to last year. Still quite rare though. I think I maybe missed the comment you're replying to. Daryl, loved the April Fool's Day poster image y'all posted. Yeah, absolutely. It was Maxine put together that fantastic artwork, and a couple of people on the team put their heads together to craft up a little humorous blurb as well. I liked how Larry was half. I forget now. Half. He was 3 parts of a half there. I had a good chuckle when I read that. Zach, any chance of Ronza coming earlier this year? No news from her yet. So we'll have to wait and see. And then Yono follows up with, please don't bring Ronza early. I'm not ready yet. Still getting Season 8 base. So. Steven said, oh, I meant Egg Sweeper. Yeah, it can take a little bit to get the hang of. I think I maybe embarrassed myself last Feedback Friday when demoing the Egg Sweeper. Yeah, let's pull... Oops, my Egg Sweeper isn't on here. Tell you what, why don't we load up? We'll play a little Egg Sweeper. But I have to enable it here. I suppose I could actually play it in the actual game too. I believe I have some shovels, but I tend to not be as Egg Sweeper savvy while streaming. I'll blame multitasking. So definitely inspiration from the old Minesweeper game. But yeah, you just want to dig in anywhere you can. You use a shovel every time. When you see the 1, so when you hover over this, it even highlights the kind of radius around the 1. It means there's 1 egg touching this square, but you don't know where. So you can tap. Ooh, okay, now you have a 3. So now you know there's 3 eggs touching this square, and there's 1 egg touching this one. So you might want to start with the overlap. Not getting lucky here. Nope. All right, so we got 1. And now a little advanced technique here. You can turn on these flags, or on the browser you can tap F and it toggles your flags on and off. Now because there's one egg touching this one with a 1, you know there can't be one here, here, or here, because there's already one touching it. So you could flag those to know, hey, don't click those. There's no egg there. You can still click it after you flag it. This is why I didn't do it in the actual game. And so on and so forth. So there you go. There's Crash Course Egg Sweeper. That was enough to fire up the CPU fan. It's processing now. Watch out. Steven, what are those numbers for? So hopefully that shed a little light. If you're a little rusty in the old Minesweeper, you never had a chance to play Minesweeper before. It indicates the number of eggs touching that square. So like I said, when you have a 1 up there and an egg touches the square with a 1 in it, you know there can't be an egg anywhere else touching that 1 because there's already one egg touching that square. Eileen, you were never good with Minesweeper, but you're pretty good at Egg Sweeper. All right. Swift, is this an Egg Sweeper feedback Friday? Yeah, we can challenge. See, how few shovels can I clear a board with? Part RNG. There's a little element of skill and finesse in there, though, I think. Just a little bit. You have a little control over your success and failure. Final Heart asks, any insight why extra charge costs more than regular extra? Seems a lot for riff set bonus and extra chocolates. It's primarily because it does not consume every hunt. So if extra charge charms cost more than extras, you would just blow through them. It would be extraordinarily expensive to have to use them because you lose one every single hunt. The extras only consume when you find an egg, so you go through them much, much slower. So overall, you're kind of using the same resources per hunt. You know, it obviously comes down to how many eggs you're finding. But it would just be a little bit too expensive to have to keep those armed 24/7 and lose one every single hunt, so they cost less than extras. Or another way of looking at it, the ability for a regular extra to only consume when you find an egg, that's very valuable. That makes it more valuable than the extra charge charm. Egg Sweeper 101 with Dave. I don't know if I'm the best teacher, but I stumble through it the best I can. Cat, my app seems to load very slow with updating notice. Open it up in the widget. We are kind of looking into that a little bit. Not too much has changed. Definitely kind of maybe with the Egg Sweeper being up there, there could be a little bit more data, but we're checking it out a little bit. Seems to not be affecting everybody. Z-Bad Man asks, any new mini-events lined up this year? Something like Zombie Invasion mini-event? Yeah, nothing officially planned yet, but that might be a good idea. I know we're going to be we're working on one more kind of floating island, like a Floating Islands expansion. And then I think once that's kind of wrapped up, we want to spend some time working on a lot of kind of technical stuff, kind of behind the scenes things. So don't think in terms of events, gameplay, new mice, but definitely kind of want to start working on a little bit of technical housekeeping, some behind the scenes stuff with at least part of the team. So we might kind of divide efforts, switch back and forth a little bit, but not too much to shed there. But the mini events might be kind of an interesting approach for while we're working on that kind of behind the scenes stuff. If somebody's looking for something new, maybe you don't have a particularly compelling goal that you've set for yourself, or sometimes it's fun, those events, it brings you and all your friends together in one spot doing one thing, and that's kind of fun every once in a while, so that might be neat to toggle those on. It's not quite like flipping a switch. We tried to get them as close to that as we could, but inevitably turning on a mini event still requires a little bit of work as well. Dave is now an Egg Sweeper speedrunner. No, I think I'd embarrass myself if I tried to do it as quickly as I possibly could. Oh, Final Heart, you meant in terms of Chocolatonium costs. That I may have to double check. Yeah, I mean, I'd be inclined to agree that should probably be the other way around. Reaper, any plan on making more daily cheese or scale into loyalty chests there? No specific plans, but I would agree that is in need of some love. It's a little dated. That might be approaching a decade old. That I don't know when loyalty chests were added, but I would go on a limb and say we would do them completely differently, or quite a bit different than how they are if we were to do them today. So they're definitely in need of an overhaul. Brian's looking forward to the Sunken City mini event quest. I enjoy that one as well. I would definitely cast my vote for that. Jonathan asks, are we getting Gouda string this year? I would be surprised. No, I don't believe so. That's kind of earmarked for when the Tribal Isles Rift gets released. That's at least the current plan. Plans can obviously change, but no plans on a Tribal Isle Rift, at least at the moment. Watch out, Dave. If you leave scribbles on your whiteboard too long, they become permanent. They're glass whiteboards, so that has the nice benefit of you can always just clean those up nicely with a little bit of glass cleaner, and they usually come clean again as long as you didn't use indelible ink or something like that, but I'm not too worried about it. Interesting that the chocolate base works with extra charms, work with other charms in a hunt. It doesn't, so it seems like you get a roll that adds +1 egg to all drops instead of a roll for each. Yes, I believe that's how that works. I'm not too intimately familiar, so I don't want to misspeak, but I believe that is how it works. It just does the roll. Did your chocolate bar base activate? Yes, cool. All those eggs get +1, unless I'm horribly mistaken. Where I'm hunting right now, I don't get a whole lot of eggs at once. I'm doing the living garden, so there's not too many multi-egg drops in my future. Ted Bruce asks, does the new chocolate bar base actually increase the frequency that mice drop chocolatonium? The flavor text is a little unclear. That might be a good thing to note as well. Unless I'm mistaken, it increases the encounter rate of some of the more lucrative mice. So something like the gold foil mouse, I think that one drops the most chocolatonium. So that's going to bring around more lucrative mice to your trap. Jack-style living garden event would be nice. Ooh. Hey, I'll always be up for any sort of living garden event at this point. Working on some King's Crowns there. Caleb asked, does Gouda actually attract better than Brie? Can't tell. Yes. So it has a higher attraction rate for sure. And, depending on where you take it, it'll also attract higher quality mice. So Larry the three-piece man, half cop, half knight, half barbarian warrior. There it is, Daryl. I had a good chuckle at that. I think maybe Giorgio or Norm perhaps wrote that. I don't want to give miscredit or forget somebody if they did pitch that, but I was under the impression one of the two of them wrote that. I had a good chuckle. I think that was my favorite part of that blurb as well. Limbomber, did you notice the hunter's logs being messed up by the double counting bonus hunts? Yes, we did. We're looking into that. Ryan, the board behind you is interesting, though. It looks like the expansion. Yes, indeed it is. We were doing a little bit of work. I don't know the last time I wrote that, though. It was probably several weeks ago. A little bit has changed, but yeah, it was. I kind of missed that with the shift to remote work. It's harder to get that vibe of you're going to sit in a meeting room with a whiteboard and start brainstorming, hashing things out a little bit. I don't know what it is. Even it feels different than writing on paper. Maybe just because you have a larger canvas, it's easier to just kind of quickly erase with your finger. Although then you got to remember, don't touch anything for a little bit. So we're definitely doing a little brainstorming session to try to flesh things out with that Floating Islands expansion. Kind of the working title right now is called the Empyrean Sky Palace, and so we're kind of brainstorming and trying to firm up a few details there. Boone asks, any plans on adding home screen widgets to the iPhone or iOS 14? None in the immediate future. Definitely kind of long term. We want to, like I spoke about a little earlier, do some kind of technical housekeeping, a little bit of behind the scenes technical updates. That would make things like that certainly a whole lot easier to do than it currently is. Purple says, we remember the last time Dave tried to draw a piece of Gouda string cheese, or was it Super Gouda? I think it's still in the game, the placeholder art. It's a piece of Gouda, and it says string on it in red text that I think I just wrote in the preview app, if I'm not mistaken. But I wouldn't say I illustrated it, but yeah, some dev art. It's basically to allow to do a little bit of preemptive data entry so that when we eventually do introduce it with the Tribal Isles Rift, if that remains the plan, when the time comes, that the encounter rates for it are already set up in old areas. Well, kind of those areas were fresh in our mind. And I'm doing a horrible job at keeping up on the chat here. Tresh would like to request special achievement eggs. Maybe some ideas like a chessboard egg if you clear both Mystic and Technic boards during the event. That's a very interesting suggestion as well. I'd be interested to hear what other hunters think about that theme of egg, where you kind of have to accomplish some sort of feat. Almost think of it like a special achievement. Do this using this trap in this area, or do this within a certain time frame, or like the example of doing a double run in the tower as well. That's kind of a little extra challenge, especially if you just arrived at the seasonal garden. That's definitely tricky to do a double run sometimes. Swift says extra charms are a lot harder. That's been a common sentiment as well, or are harder to stock. We could get hundreds in previous years. Yeah, we'll kind of get that balance just right. I mean, that might speak to in previous years there was a bit of a flood of them. Definitely when we look at kind of how many hunters own, it was some hunters have amassed more than they could ever possibly use. So we're thinking about, well, do we need almost like a wealth charm effect, some way to crunch them down into better versions of them like you can with the wealth charms or ancient charms now in the floating islands. You can do something similar, kind of crunch them down to upgrade them into more powerful versions. Limbomber feels bad we can't do treasure map clue eggs. That's something we could look into for next year as well. I think partly the scavenger maps didn't prove to be all too popular. So it was a very kind of popular suggestion. I think maybe the reward structure of them could be a little different. They definitely feel a little more difficult. They definitely, scavenger maps tax your trivia knowledge of the game a little bit more. It's a little even harder to look up kind of where's the best place to loot scrap metal? Where's the best place to loot a flawed orb? It doesn't immediately pop in your mind like it would maybe a mouse, because you know where to get that mouse and what cheese. Swift says, nah, achievement eggs would be overly complicated. Matthew says the Apple Watch gives a notification to hunt but doesn't work. Is that a currently known bug? We do have that logged. It's unfortunately, it's just the way it's kind of tied into the app. It's sort of the notifications will sync over to your watch if you have an Apple Watch, but the hunt action needs some special implementation, and we have kind of a technical limitation in terms of how the app is built to get that to work. So again, kind of, just chipping away is definitely lots of small little things that are definitely a big motivating factor to do kind of some underlying technical work to recode large portions of the game to get better support for things as things like that start to add up. Rick John says, please fix all the bugs in the event and current time. If you're having a problem, get in touch from the browser version of the game. You can hit contact or help at the top, contact us, select bug report as well. Screenshot is also immensely helpful as well. If you're having a problem, just instantly sometimes helps visualize what's happening there. From the mobile app as well, you can hit the more options menu in the bottom right. Try and do things from memory. And there's also a contact us there, and you can use that to submit a bug report. Roxanne says, using this trap sounds like library assignments. Yeah, it just kind of popped to mind, but that wasn't overly popular, and I think because it removes some autonomy, it creates kind of bad feelings around, hey, I have a better trap. I don't want to use a worse trap to do something. So that's definitely something that needs to be few and far between. Bram, you like the idea of a trophy cabinet for a hunter's profile for having achieved certain deeds? Yeah, definitely kind of the idea of an achievement system's been floating around for a long time, but just kind of, again, a little resource and prioritization thing. Have to be a little bit careful too. Being kind of a smaller team, the more we add to the game, it also adds more things to maintain in the future as well. So kind of as we add more features, a lot of times it isn't like launch them, they're done, and you never need to think about them again. But it certainly comes down to what the feature is. But as you add other new things to the game, now you have to kind of make sure you test, does it affect these other things that were added? So kind of as more and more features get added to the game, it also increases the amount of maintenance work that needs to happen. And if we're not able to increase the amount of time and resources we have to get that maintenance accomplished, then we start to get on a downward trajectory in terms of kind of quality or of how fast or how quickly we can add things. So it's always a tough balancing act. It's definitely one of the more difficult things that we have to discuss as a team when it comes to prioritization and deciding what we do. Ryan suggests an unpopular opinion here. I would like to see the omelet factory back, and you have to recalibrate the eggs. Yeah, we'd be open to that as well. Maybe things have changed over the year. There was certainly a lot of negative feedback. I think some of it was the fun part of the event became bonus eggs for so many hunters that there was a lot of kind of, I don't know, just didn't, it felt like it was in the way, like you're doing a chore so you can move on to the fun part, and it took a little while as well. But the same way, kind of adding that chocolate factory, egg factory adds kind of a nice place to put a narrative. You know, you can have an antagonist that you're defeating, which is often kind of fun to work through that little storyline. But ultimately, the egg hunt is difficult in that the event mice don't kind of help you in the bonus egg hunting as strongly as something, say, like the Lunar New Year event, where candles are really core to the gameplay there. So you feel a little bit better when you go back to a stockpile location to restock your candles, because that's then going to help you go out and get double, triple loot drops and raise your lantern. Whereas the egg hunt, the charms weren't as impactful. You didn't. It's like, I get double eggs, but I don't always need that. Sometimes it's more collection based, and I think that's where more friction was added there, where people didn't really like going through that phase. They just wanted to get to the bonus egg part. Yarn asks, have you considered implementing a sort of auto horn every 15 minutes? Require them to be active the last few hours instead of manual hunts. There's something kind of like that. If you have a friend in your location, they can bring you on a hunt. But you know, certainly, I mean, that's been deeply ingrained in the game since its inception, is kind of checking in every 15 minutes or once every hour. You also get trap checks every hour. But I don't think we would kind of automate that. That would be a pretty fundamental change to kind of how the game works, and ultimately change the identity of maybe what people have grown to love over a decade. Swift, yeah, that's a good point. I like achievements, but maybe not tied eggs. Too many things to do in Spring Egg Hunt. Eggmaster journal theme suggestion from Wong. We kind of want to shy away from any tangible reward for Eggmaster. It is purely for the sake of accomplishment. It is something you set for yourself, and that's it. By kind of adding a tangible reward, I think it would encourage more hunters to set that goal for themselves that they otherwise wouldn't be interested in. And again, kind of set you on the path if you feel compelled to do something that you don't want to do. And that would create kind of unfun feelings, basically. So definitely there are no plans to add any sort of tangible item reward or ability or anything like that to the Eggmaster title. It is just there to say, yep, you did it. That's it. A forum does unlock at the moment, but that's nothing kind of tangible, nothing to benefit you in game, or a unique item unlock. Purple asks, wasn't there a block egg already in the game? I was a bit surprised to see it. No, it was a very popular suggestion year after year, and so it was kind of good to be able to scratch that itch this year. It's one of the few kind of big bad boss mice, if I can call it that, or kind of main antagonist in an area that was lacking a unique themed egg. And it's definitely kind of a cute themed egg. I don't know what it is, but the artists, when they paint an egg themed after a mouse, I don't know why it just instantly becomes kind of cute like that. Final Heart asks, what are the goal rewards for being brainstormed for the Sky Palace? More traps, more jewels, more pirate seals? Yeah, I mean, it's a little early to go into detail, but definitely kind of a couple of the design objectives there are to add additional uses for extra cyclone stones, extra cloud curd that hunters have amassed, as well as provide additional source of adorned jewels. So kind of mechanically, you can almost think of it as adding one more extra lucrative island. So you have your low altitude, you have your high altitude, and then there'll be, again, working title, but the Sky Palace you can visit, where the Empyrean Empress mouse is ruling over the floating islands. And you can raid the vault for treasures, including some jewels. Brian, kindly duck low for a few seconds. Well, in the interest of not spreading misinformation, maybe I won't, because I think it's quite outdated. Ryan, you're trying to add a niche use for the Omelette Factory to farm extra charms from and crown event mice. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're kind of trying to accomplish with Lady Laura's shop. In that, similarly, you would go to a stockpile, even like last year, and you could collect Marshmallow Monterey. And then you could hunt with that to capture event mice, and they drop the charms, or you could just straight exchange your Marshmallow Monterey for the charms if you didn't want to spend the time hunting the event mice. And so this kind of has a similar vibe, but you do not have to put your other goals on pause. You can simultaneously be collecting Chocolatonium while you're seeking out bonus eggs. So it's just kind of constantly coming in. So in that regard, it's a little easier to get if you didn't want to put that on pause and visit a stockpile. Sean misses the egg carton. He might be in a minority there, unfortunately. It didn't quite work out very well, and definitely had kind of some mixed feedback. So they were retired. If you have an old egg carton in your inventory from a few years ago, I believe you either smash it or you use it, and you can get Super Brie from it. So, or you can hold on to it and have a little egg carton in your inventory for years to come. Ralph, can Lady Laura add Ember Charms? Oh, might be an interesting suggestion for next year. The Goliath Field Mouse doesn't have an egg either, points out Swift. That might be a good suggestion for next year as well. Kind of go through all the adventures and kind of find that final mouse that you capture to complete an adventure. And there's something, nice kind of sense of closure there to have an egg for each one of those mice. Definitely seems like they're popular suggestions. Why is there no event or adventure map, asks Reaper. Well, the egg hunt is unique in that it takes place throughout the entire game. So it lends itself rather well to, for instance, I'm hunting eggs in the Living Garden, so I could start a Living Garden map and be working on that. If you're trying to get many different types of eggs, something like a rainbow map, if you have one, would be nice. A regular relic hunter map as well synergizes quite nicely with the egg hunt as well. Lightning map, Slayer map, they kind of take you all over the place. And so in that regard, that doesn't kind of get in the way of just focusing on other map goals as well. Some eggs no longer look like an egg, like the Sky Sprocket. You got to look at it a little bit. I thought it was quite creative, actually, kind of the art team there. A few of the eggs, it's almost like you just have to kind of like unfocus your eyes slightly, and then it just pops. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like, oh, yep, it's an egg. It's like, wait, isn't this a sprocket? No, it's an egg. And then you will be incapable of not seeing the egg shape after that. So I was quite impressed by some of the illustrations of the eggs this year. The Sky Soft Silk egg as well comes to mind. It looks like a spool of cloth, and then as soon as you see the egg shape, it's forever gone. You can never see the cloth again. You will always see it as an egg. So I was really impressed by the creativity they put into those eggs. In 59, any news on the map clues egg mice not getting marked off? Actually, that was, I believe, unrelated to the egg hunt. I think, I don't want to misspeak if that went out or if it's going out next week. Let me see if I can find that real quick. So I believe that went out on Wednesday. So that it was kind of an intermittent problem where a mouse wouldn't get marked off on a treasure map, but should have been fixed Wednesday afternoon. Amaz says, can the Valor Rift maps drop secrets and sigils? They indirectly do. So you get an unstable celestial time chest, and you can poke that chest, and you get sigils and secrets. But you get them proportional to what your highest run in Umbra has ever been. So you don't need to be in the tower when you open it. You don't need to be on a certain floor. Basically, it's when you open the chest, whatever your high score is, that's what determines how many sigils and secrets you get. And that's just kind of to not spoil the journey of the Valor Rift. If you have a lot of friends and you join their maps and you end up with thousands of sigils and secrets, then when you finally unlock the Valor Rift and you show up, you just click a few buttons on the HUD and you're like, I guess I'm done. So it kind of, to avoid sort of ruining the journey of going through that, because that should be the fun part, is accomplishing that feat and going through it. On that front as well, so you may have noticed a news ticker up in the game about a brief maintenance period on Wednesday, and that is hopefully it'll be all good to go to adjust the cost of the Valorous or Valorous. I don't know why I always want the Valorous airship airship cosmetic. So we're going to lower the cost of that. I believe it's going to be about 100 scraps each. So that was a bit of my blunder when I pulled up that old spreadsheet to come up with costs. It was way off. They're way too expensive. Their cost is set as though they're tradable, as opposed to something that you earn for yourself. And so those costs are going to be slashed quite a bit. But during that maintenance period, we'll refund anyone who has already purchased them. So they'll get back their tattered skin pattern pieces. Leo likes the artwork for the Warden eggs. Yeah, quite a few of them I thought were done very well this year. I like a lot of the artwork there. Ben asks, next year, can shells be unlockable in any order? We went back and forth a little bit on that as well. Kind of at the end, we were debating whether they should be in order or not. So it'd be open to some feedback, but it may also mean some shells become a little more expensive. So it's, I don't know, it's a tough balancing act. Do the Sky or Skyglass eggs drop more often when you have two buffs active as opposed to one? You know, I don't want to misspeak in the nitty-gritty details. I'm trying to remember exactly how that egg went in. And a couple of them were kind of tweaked during playtesting as well. So that makes it tough to do it from memory sometimes. On the spot, I'll pull up an outdated piece of information. Let me see if I can find the list here. Oh, spring. I gotta type. Spring egg hunt, where are you? There's too many documents titled Spring Egg Hunt. There it is, 2021. Let's find the new eggs. Don't know why I'm using two computers. Google Docs might be pushing it for my laptop to be encoding video and open a Google Doc at once. Watch out. New eggs. What do we have here? Sky Ore and Sky Glass are dropped on islands with 2 deposits. So that I don't believe it has any sort of increase depending on how many you have. It's more of a minimum than it is a modifier. Thomas says, I always come to Feedback Friday late. And you're used to 1.75 times Dave. Real-time Dave talks so slow, really. All right, good to know. I always thought I speak a little quickly at times. I even make an effort to slow down. I think it's the rapidly moving chat. Has me try to speak as fast sometimes as chat is going. But welcome. Welcome, Thomas. I'm glad you can listen to me not as a fast-forward chipmunk on this fine day. Ralph says, I like the sequence of the shelves. Interesting. Cat's fine with the sequence of shelves as well. Hermandy says, quick look behind Dave. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty outdated, but... yeah, some of that's no longer relevant. Even actually, it was last week and this week, a lot kind of firmed up. So I think we'll be able to go... make it a topic of Feedback Friday, probably, I don't know, toward the end of Spring Egg Hunt or maybe a little after. No, quite no, but this might be interesting, kind of raise some questions, some curiosities. I don't know who will do Feedback Friday next week. It might be Jacob, but then the week after that can really have a little bit more focused Spring Egg Hunt Feedback Friday. And so some of this might be good food for thought to try to bring up specific feedback questions, document some things. We usually always like to log all that feedback, comments, suggestions, and put it into next year's milestones. So that'll probably be my objective with a more dedicated Feedback Friday, or at least a Feedback Friday dedicated to the Spring Egg Hunt, to try to write as much of that down and document it for next year. Reaper says, would be nice if we could trade extra Skin sigils and secrets frags into celestial skin patterns. That's kind of an interesting suggestion as well. Why are there no magic essence recipe for diamond cheese? I mean, ultimately, we just kind of felt it was maybe just a little too impactful. I mean, at that stage of the game, though, everyone should have some magic essence, but essentially at that point, it is, you know, why would you never not do that, right? It should just be the default recipe, to the point where it almost felt a little forced. You get there and you're like, no, I have to use this magic essence because diamond cheese took so long to get here. There's no way I'm not going to make an extra piece or something. So I don't know. It felt a little bit like twisting the arm to use magic essence there. But in fairness, I guess at the fungal cavern, how many daily loyalty chests have you collected? And you've probably been through the super refactory and probably have a little stash to use one for your diamond cheese. But I don't know. At the time, we kind of felt we'll just leave it as without magic essence. Very best Dave, why is the temporal shadow plate and high altitude chests in the rewards of the egg and the calorib isn't? Is there any tactic behind this? Nothing per se, no, just kind of leaving the rib as the rib, and even if it was to go in the egg, it would be, because typically the event rewards use kind of the baseline of, okay, how difficult, how rare is that in the game normally? And can we dial that up by like ×2, ×3, kind of depending on the event? And so it would still have to be so exceptionally rare, even at double the effort, that I don't know, even saying it's in there would just lead to a lot of disappointment, because it would mean one person's going to be happy and thousands won't. So. Purple, you should clean the whiteboard or it might stain. I mentioned earlier, it's a glass whiteboard, so I'm good. Pretty hard to stain. I think I've left something up for a while ago. I was working on a mod for a game, and I left, like, I was drawing a map for the mod, and I think I left it up there for 2 years on one of the whiteboard. I was just using one whiteboard for my everyday stuff, and the one was like, no, I can't erase this. I'm not done it yet. Never finished the mod. Elise says, I feel like Valorith maps should provide more secrets and sigils at the very basic levels. It was kind of roughly based off your earning potential at those benchmarks. So that said, you can save your chests for later. So the contents are determined when you open it, not when you receive it. So, you know, if you're not quite ready, think like, for me, that's not quite good enough. I hunt more actively than other people, or I don't do as many maps as other people. So I'll unlock a few levels first, get my score up a little higher, then I'll open up my unstable chests. Maybe strive for that. Kat, when are you thinking of a goal for releasing Floating Islands expansion? I don't quite know yet, to be honest. So it's kind of a little bit in flux. We've had a few other projects on the go. We've had to kind of pick it up and put it down a few times. Actually, I wonder. Let me see here. Just as a pure trivia knowledge. There's a brainstorming document. I'm curious when the date. October 22 was the date on that original document. So we've picked it up and put it down a few times. But I'm hoping next week we're going to kind of get together, back end, front end, devs, art, and design tracks will all come together on one call, and we're going to kind of firm up a few more things. Do some more mock-ups for a new version of the sky map. I don't know if it'll actually be called a sky map, but it has a similar vibe. And I think once that mock-up comes together, that's really when things lock in a little bit better. You can sit down, scope things out nicely, and actually project a somewhat accurate date. And fortunately, after maintaining and kind of building areas for so many years, we can usually come up with a pretty good educated guess on how long something will take, because there's not as many uncertainties as there would be with other things. So a little too soon to say. Hart says, you wonder why jewels aren't in the egg sweeper eggs, considering one jewel isn't much in the grand scheme of things. Indirectly, they're there. You can get the troves, and the troves have the jewels. So technically they're in there. It's just you have to open up two things to get it. So that just kind of, if you want to do the math, you can multiply those two percentages together, and that's the chance of finding one in an egg. Yeah, Swift, I don't think anyone doesn't use the magic essence recipe for wildfire. Yeah, it's a good example. Kind of, as sort of that changed throughout the years. And I think as Super Brie became more abundant in the game, that got a little bit more comfortable in terms of chronological order, anyway, of those areas being released. To go back and about the Diamond versus Wildfire. Ryan asks, is Richard the Rich's attraction rate, once unlocked, consistent across different power types? Yes. So basically, you can almost think of it as sides of the die or names in a hat. So as you're hunting, you start off and there might be 100 pieces of paper in a hat. Let's say 50 of them say mouse A and 50 of them say mouse B. Hey, you got a 50-50 chance. Now you unlock Richard and another, 20 get thrown in there. So now there's 50 that say mouse A, 50 that say mouse B, and 20 that say Richard the Rich. So Richard the Rich would be a 20 out of 120 chance to encounter, which is 16.666%. But then I believe it's consistent. So those modifiers start adding mice to the encounter pool. So as long as nothing else changes, it should stay consistent. And all the power type islands, at least unless something's configured incorrectly, the encounter pools should all stay consistent as well. So again, to think about names in the hat, when we throw all the physical mice names in the hat when you're on a physical island, there should be 100 names in there. Same, when you go to a shadow island, it should still also be kind of out of 100 kind of idea. And then the mice usually get added on top of that. Thaisley says, you just noticed the floating islands are missing from the browser version of the map. I don't. Unless something's gone horribly wrong. Look at that! What the heck happened there? All right. Well, that's good to know. I wonder if I clear my cache. Look at some live debugging. The floating islands have vanished. What has happened? You know what? I think I did that. Yep, removing the Super Brie factory. We went back too far. Yep, that's my bad. Because I'm pretty sure I made the Super Brie factory resend back into the ocean on the map image. And see you later, floating islands. So we'll have to fix that up next week. But rest assured, you may have a bit of an existential crisis if you're in the floating islands and you look at the travel map wondering just where are you in the world? What is life? What is real and what is not? But it is still there, although you cannot see it on the map. All right, well, we should wrap things up. And look at me, just joking around at the start saying it'll be a bit of a shorter Feedback Friday because I don't have any specific feedback itinerary or criteria to go over. But we'll wrap things up. I don't have a Larry link, to be honest, either today. I was just popping on to say hello. But let me see if Larry has anything here. The islands fell. Hunters got snapped. Yep, too many hunters were on the floating islands, weighed them down, and they just sunk back into the ominous clouds below, maybe. But I'll definitely put on my list. I'll fix that up. Where are you, Larry? There you are. Larry, I would like a seasonal gift, please. All right, Larry has fulfilled a link. And look, here we was last Feedback Friday's trivia question. That's last week's link as well. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. This doesn't really make sense, but oh well. We'll update that link. I'll put it in the chat as well here. A freebie link from Larry. I didn't test that link. Is today the day I made an error? All good. All right. A little spring egg supplies surprise. Alex just caught up to real time once again. It's time to say goodbye. Well, thanks for stopping by, Alex. I'm glad you could fast forward from the start and catch up to real time here. Allison, just want to say thank you for a very generous set of loot. Enjoy the extras. 10-10, there we go. We can pretend there was a trivia question. That was last week's trivia question, hence why the answer was already up. Normally hide that to start. Reaper says you can find the non-Facebook version of Larry Links on the Discord. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, too, someone on the forums is keeping that updated as well. You can do a little bit of URL magic to get that to work. That's definitely sitting on the back burner as well. We kind of wanted to make a landing page for those links so you could choose where you want to claim. It'd also be nice if they worked on mobile, but that's even an extra kind of ball of wax to sort out. Or even kind of you hit that landing page and it sees, oh, hold on, where are you logged in? Okay, I'll forward you to the wherever you were playing last to claim that link. But unfortunately, just a million priorities. It's hard to get everything at the top of the list. Daryl, thanks for the drop-in, Dave. Absolutely, thanks for joining me. Everybody here, and about 160 people join us. Thank you very much. So have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thanks again for joining me. Either Jacob and I will see you, Jacob or I will see you next Friday. We'll see. We'll probably decide that on Monday or Tuesday. But if not next week, then I'll see you the following week. We'll probably do a kind of dedicated Feedback Friday to the Spring Egg Hunt. And we'll try to take as many notes, jot some things down, as well as I won't do a summary this week because I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, but when we do a more dedicated spring egg hunt one, definitely I'll post a summary as well to give get comments from the forums and everywhere else to document that as well for the 2022 spring egg hunt. So have a fantastic weekend, evening, morning, wherever you happen to be right now, and I'll see you next time. Happy hunting.
Such a beautiful you. You're the master of the mausoleum. Look at me, barely at level 3. I am begging for a piece of gold. All the mice, all the terrible